Hey everyone, it's me E, and welcome back to my channel. And you saw that kind of long intro there. I basically went through all of my Inktober drawings for 2021. I say Inktober because I didn't follow the Inktober prompt list. I came up with my own prompts. But I'm just going to talk through some of them now at a little bit more length and detail. So anyway, this was the first one. I chose the word tessellate, and I'm kind of disappointed, I guess, in that I don't feel like I really captured the prompt that well. So tessellations, right, are like shapes that slot together in a repeating pattern. And the only thing that kind of tessellates in this is like the background, but that's because I kind of gave up. I really wanted to do something a little bit more intricate, but I'm not very like good with spatial reasoning to make tessellations of a more complicated design. So this is what I wound up coming up with. I just drew the same character over and over again, not in a repeating pattern or anything though. This is Mob from Mob Psycho 100. His name is Shigeo Kageyama, and Mob's his nickname. But I drew a lot of Mob fan art this month. Prompt 2 was cloth. So in an ironic twist, I drew somebody not wearing any cloth, and she's hanging up her laundry. I thought it was really cute. And then, and I kept it more simple. And then day 3's prompt was flow. And this is so cute. This is Mob and his brother Ritsu, and this is them as children, and they're playing in a river, which is flowing. And so some days I did more color and some days I kept it more simple, black and white. And I really like this one a lot, actually. I think it's very, very cute. And as you can see, I kind of kept the drawing smaller and more simple on most days so that it would be a little bit easier. I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew, so to speak. The 4th day was the word mist. And this is Mob and his master Reagan. And I drew this kind of spooky figure standing in the mist in the distance. And I drew a kind of simple inked background for that. I believe the next word was probably actually flight. So I skipped around a little bit and I did a full page. This is Haikyuu, obviously. This is Hinata from Haikyuu. And I drew him with this kind of pattern. And then I think the next day was actually the word gravity. And this is Reagan from Mob Psycho 100 in Dimple. And this is him having fallen. I think this one's actually really, really cool. The only problem is I think the proportion of his head's a little bit small, but I don't think it's that noticeable unless you like flip the canvas around. But anyway, this was referenced from a Pinterest pose that I found. And a lot of the poses I used were from Pinterest. So going back here, I believe the next one was Celestial. This is Ayura Makoto from The Disastrous Life of Psyche K, and this is kind of almost like a bookmark size. I thought that was an interesting dimension. My dog actually stepped on the page and ripped it, so it's taped back behind here. And speaking of dogs, this is what I chose to do for the word dry, so I use the verb dry rather than the adjective, so the dog is shaking himself dry. I think this one's really cute, but like it's a little bit confusing back here what exactly is going on with his legs. But I liked the kind of motion here and like the water droplets spraying off of him. Then we come here, we've got the words flattened, buff, effervescent, and paranoid. And I can't remember what the exact order of these words were. But for flattened, I drew this little flattened out hamster. It was a really simple drawing and didn't take hardly any time. For buff, I decided to go with like in the buff. So I drew a nude from behind. I don't really typically draw nudes very often or ever because it's not like I have a live model to use and I feel like I would be uncomfortable with that anyway. But it's good anatomy practice to draw somebody not wearing clothes every once in a while. This is Psyche from The Disastrous Life of Psyche K, and this is a Furby, which is designed to look like another character in the show, and the word paranoid kind of suits this because people in general are kind of afraid of Furbies, but the character that this Furby's designed like is a character that this character would really like to avoid. And this is actual Furby language, and I believe that it translates to, do you want to play? And over here, this is a character named Terahashi from The Disastrous Life of Psyche K, and she's supposed to be the perfect pretty girl. So it's kind of intimidating to draw her, but I thought I would try it for the word effervescent because she kind of has that bubbly, lively personality, and it suits her really well. The word for this one was draft. This is Hinata from Haikyuu running with Bokuto from Haikyuu, and this word is kind of like a double meaning. Like if you're racing somebody, you can draft behind them to try and get in their slipstream so you can go faster. But it's also a draft of a present that I'm making for somebody in an online like fan art exchange. So that's for Christmas. So this was my first draft of that. Next up is the word congruent. So I drew these like basically twin cats. They're Siamese cats, but they're not, Siamese twins, but I just drew the same cat. The word translate, I decided to draw, I guess this is Tsukishima from Haikyuu. Yeah, that's Tsukishima, and he's doing translation homework. I guess that's what I decided. And then this is the word glued, and this is Psyche from The Disastrous Life of Psyche K, literally glued to his friend Nindo. I say friend, his friend Nindo. And I think there's actually a fan fiction that somebody published somewhat recently that has this as the concept, which I haven't read yet, but I didn't want to go read the fan fiction before I drew this and then get my ideas tainted. But the same thing happened again. My paper ripped, so this is actually torn down here. That was my fault because I was erasing too vigorously. Don't you hate when that happens? Next up is the word direction, and this is actually probably one of my favorite drawings from all of this month because I didn't cut corners on the background. I used a reference from Pinterest for the background, and I also really like the hand gestures here. You can kind of see the motion of him giving directions. Up at the top, it says phone battery 0% lost, 100%. And if you watch this show or you read the manga, then you would get kind of what that's a reference to. But anyway, he's obviously trying to read a map and give directions. And then down here, the prompt word was milk. This character really likes milk, so this is him when he's younger. It looks like he took him on a field trip to go see a farm. And I don't know if you can quite tell, but he's got a little bit of a milk mustache as well. I thought this was really cute, actually. Next up is the word carved. This is Tatsu from The Way of the House Husband, which is a Netflix anime show based on a manga. And the whole premise is that he's like this scary gangster guy, but he's a house husband. And so you keep getting these unexpected situations where it seems like he's going to do something really violent, but it turns out he's just baking or whatever. So for the word carved, I drew him with a carving knife. And then for the next day, I used the word unexpected because you expect him to be this creepy gangster, but it turns out he was just carving a pumpkin. So this was one of only a few that were kind of Halloween related. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to do Inktober is because a lot of their prompt words are kind of spooky, and I love Halloween and I like spooky stuff, but I didn't want the whole drawing exercise to be strictly Halloween related. The next word was hoax. This is another one of my favorites. I think the composition's really cool. This is a character from Mob Psycho 100 who's really into aliens, and so she's telling a story, which is kind of demonstrated by this speech bubble here. She's telling a story about crop circles and alien abduction. The word was hoax, so she's telling a story like it's real, but this was obviously a hoax. The next two words are slip and drip. So I decided to do like a pair of drawings that were correlating with those words in terms of the outfit. So a slip dress, and then drip is kind of like a, Gen Z word for, when you've got really cool shoes or whatever, you've got the drip. So these are kind of self-portraits of myself, what I would look like in these various outfits. Next up was the word panic, and my husband said he really liked this one, but this was me like literally throwing something together as quickly as possible because I didn't feel well this day. And you can probably tell from my voice that I got sick towards the end of it, and not feeling well really does actually impact your artistic ability and your desire to do things. So I kind of phoned it in for some of these prompts, and this was one of the ones that I phoned it in on. It turned out okay, but it's nothing that great. And these are the last Mob Psycho fan arts. So this word was effort. So this is Mob, the Body Improvement Club, trying to lift this weight. And that's the captain of the Body Improvement Club trying to help him. The word eruption, obviously, this is Mob erupting with his powers. The word desolate is kind of like, you know, a desert, like it's lonely, it's isolating, it's empty. So this is him all alone after an eruption. You can see his clothes are torn up, he's lost his shoes. And then this is kind of the final of this arc, I guess, of these 4 days of his master kind of cheering him up afterwards. And the word was educate. The next word was the word thatch. So I drew this like little tiki bar. I drew myself on vacation, having a drink and having this attractive tan man giving me a beverage. This was wishful thinking because I was still not feeling well. And it's like when you're feeling really sick, it's like all you can imagine is, wow, how nice it would be if I was away at a beach. And again, this one was kind of phoned in too. So on these Mob ones, I was not feeling well this day. So this one was rough. And then I was feeling better here. Then I started to feel bad again. And I was feeling bad for the last 2 days of Inktober as well. But I kind of toughed it out. And I drew this yesterday and this today for Halloween. This word was dainty. So I tried to draw like kind of nicely, delicately posed hands. And then I colored them kind of interestingly, I guess, with like, it almost looks like a thermal camera. And then for the word gossamer, I drew a witch who's wearing a dress that's made out of spider webs, which you can kind of just barely see on camera, the white webbing of the dress. I used a gel pen for that, and I think it actually looks really cute. I actually really, really, really like this illustration. It was really simple and easy and quick, but I think it turned out really cute. And I love her expression. She seems really classy in this little creepy dress. But that's basically it for this month for my 31 drawings. I hope you enjoyed. And if you stuck to the end of the video, please let me know which of the drawings was your favorite. And I will see you in another video. Bye!